What is up everyone, my name is Sagar and we are back here with another video, and this is the lecture number 14 of our Java and DSA course. And in the previous video we learned about the syntax of nested loop and also its use cases. So today we are gonna practice some amazing questions on that. So without making any further ado, let's get started. So before starting with the pattern questions, first let me tell you the solution of previous task, and that was print first and prime numbers. Okay, we already know that program, that is in lecture 10, and it is this. So I will just uncomment. So as you can see this program, this is a program we did to find whether a number is prime or not. We did that thing in our lecture 10. If you don't know about this, do check out that video. So here we were taking n from our input, that is our number which we were checking whether that is prime or not. So this is whole a program. If it is 1, then it is not prime, else there is a loop. So first I will replace this n with number. So there will be some number that we will check whether it is prime or not. And what is our task? We have to print first n numbers. Okay, so first let us take n from our input. So how can we do this? We have to print first n numbers. If our n is 5, then we have to print first 5 prime numbers. And these are, you can see here, this 2, 3, 5, 7 and 11. These are first 5 prime numbers. So we have to print them. But how can we do this? We know we already have a program to check any number, and if it is prime, we are printing that it is prime, and if not, then we are printing not prime. So we have a particular program to check whether a number is prime or not. So can we just do it like this? We will just check all numbers, and when we have n prime numbers, then we will break. So how can we do this? We will just use a nested loop. But before starting, first we need a variable that will tell us how many prime numbers are there. So first I will write here got primes, and that will be 0 because first we have 0 prime numbers, and then we have to print n prime numbers. So every time we get a prime number, we increase that count. So first prime number is 2. So when we have 2, we will increase the count of our got prime variable. And when this got prime variable is equal to n, that means we have n prime numbers, then we will stop. So I will start my while loop, because here we don't know how many times we have to check to find some n prime numbers. So when my got prime is less than n, that means we got some prime numbers that is less than n, and when we got total of n prime numbers, that means this variable is equal to n, then we will break. So this is a good condition, and so first I will put this whole program inside this loop. So every time when we got some prime number, we have to increase this count. So if prime, then got primes plus plus, so our count will be increased, and we have to print that number. So we will print number. So I will just initialize this number variable from 1, int number. So that means we will start checking from 1 whether 1 is prime or not, and at every step we have to increase our number. So if our number is equal to 1, then we are printing not prime, but we don't need to do that. We will just write here our number plus plus, and else we are checking that whether number is prime or not. So when it is not prime, this flag will be false, and we are printing that number. So we don't need to do that. We will just write here this number plus plus. We are increasing this number after our whole code. So this is our whole code to check, and after that we are increasing number. So you can see here this statement is common in both the blocks. If our number is 1, then we are increasing, else if our number is not 1, then we are doing something, and after that we are also increasing. So this is common, so we can take it out also from there. And at the end of this if else block, I will just write there number plus plus. So that means number is increasing every time. So if our number is 1, we are doing nothing. That means we don't need that block anymore. I will just write here, if number is not equal to 1, then we will just enter in this block where we were checking every number. So we have got prime 0 and number equal to 1, and every time when we got prime, we are printing it, we are increasing our count, and then we are printing that number. Okay, I think this is good. Let's check it. So when we have to print first 5 prime numbers, then these are 2, 3, 5, 7 and 11, and that is looking good. So when you want to print them in one line, you can just write here this print, then this number and plus a space. So then they will be in one row. So suppose when I want first 20 prime numbers, then they are 2, 3, 5 and so on up to 71. So that is a very cool program. I will write here, just cut it, and this is all good. So after this, let's start with our pattern questions. And first I will create a new Java class, lecture 14. And our question is, we are given some n, that will be some number, and then according to that given number, we have to print some pattern that is given here. So when our number is 4, we have to print something like this. We have to print 4 rows. Here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 and 4 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4. And inside them, first we have to print a star and then a space and then star, space, and then at last star and also a space. And we have to repeat them n number of times. So you can see here there are 4 rows and 4 columns. So how can we do this? So you just have to find a pattern here that will make some logic. And this is a very basic question of nested loop. We will just print this thing, our star and space n times. So one star and space one time, then second time, then third time, and then fourth time. So this thing will be in a loop and we have to repeat this loop n times. So our first loop will print this thing and we have to repeat this thing until n times. So let us just code that thing. So first we have to print that thing. We will print one row, star and space n times. So first I will take n from input. So this will be same in all questions. And our question 1. So first we have to print a row, that will be, so I will name this variable a star because we will just print a star, and also space. So this star should be less than equal to n, and then star plus plus. So I will just print, we don't need to write here print ln, and then I have to print a star and a space. So let us run this. So this will print one row. So if our number is 4 and is 4, so it is printing here 4 stars, and we have to print that row n number of times. So I will just write here a outer loop, enter row equals to 1, row should be less than equal to n, row plus plus, and I just have to put that loop inside this. So this means using this inner loop we will print one row of star, and then we will repeat that thing for our row 2 and up to row n. So let us check this. Before running, let me just print a new line here, because every time after we print one row we have to be in next line. So I will just write here this println. So when our number is 4, you can see here, when our row is 1, using this inner loop I am printing this line, and after this inner loop ends we are printing one line. As you can see here, after that we are in next line, and when row is 2 we are printing that thing again, and same for row 3 and row number 4. So let us check another example. When our n is 8, so you can see this thing. So this was a very basic and easy problem. And now let's move to our next question, and that is, you can see here now, this is our question 2, and in here we are also given some n that will be integer. So first we have to print n rows, that means here 1, 2, 3 and 4, and at every row we have to print stars like this. First row will contain 1 star, second row will contain 2 stars, third will contain 3 and fourth will contain 4, and so on. So all these questions are related to nested loops, and we just have to find a pattern here. And if you can see, this is also very easy problem. This is our row number 1 and we are printing only 1 star, and after this is our row number 2 and we are printing only 2 stars. When we have row number 3, we are printing 3 stars, and in row number 4 we are printing 4 stars. So that means the number of stars will vary according to our row. So that means I will write here our number of stars will be equal to number of stars. So this is the only pattern that we have to find here. Our number of stars will be equal to number of row. If we are in first row, then we have to print only 1 star, and if we are in second row, then we will print only 2 stars. So let us just code that thing. After that, question 2. So first let me create that inner loop, and that will be star. So we will start from printing 1 star, and our star count will be less than equal to our number of row. So I will write here star less than equal to row, and every time star plus plus I will print star and space. So that simply means our number of stars will vary according to our row. So now creating our outer loop, that will be row. So our row will start from 1. Rows are less than equal to n, and every time row increase. So first our row is 1, then let's put it here. So first our row is 1, so our star is also 1, and our star should be less than equal to row. So our star will only have 1. So this inner loop only run one time, and it will print only 1 star. And after that our number of row will be increased. So our row will be 2, so our star is 1, so we'll print this, and after that star will increase, so we will again print it second time. So this is very clear. When our row is 2, we are printing 2 stars. And let's run this. Okay, when our n is 4, then okay, we have to also print here s out. When our n is 4, okay, we don't need to write here print. So these are the common things that you also have to check. So every time we are printing these stars, and after printing every row, we have to print a next line. So hope this time it is correct. When our n is 4, and it is the correct result. For row 1, we are printing only 1 star. For row 2, we are printing 2 stars, and so on. And when we have n equals to 100, so you can see this is the correct pattern. So this was also a very cool program. You just have to find a pattern and everything is clear. So this was our question 2, and after that let's move to our third question. And our third pattern is like this. We are given some n, and for every n we have to do like this. Here you can see in our first row we are printing 4 stars. That means our number of stars equal to n. And after that for second row we are printing 3 stars. That is n minus 1. And for third row we are printing only 2 stars. And for fourth row we are only printing 1. So we also just have to find a pattern here. So there are multiple ways to do this question. You can also use a while loop here, and inside that you will just use a nested loop and print rows according to that. So let us also see that thing. So this is our question 3. So what we can do is, we have this n, so we will just print n stars, and then we will decrease our n. So that simply means we have to just print n stars every time. So at first we will print n stars, and then n will be increased. So n is 3. So at second time we are also printing n stars. So because our n is 3 now, we are printing 3 stars, but it is equal to n. So our inner loop will be our star should be less than equal to n and star plus plus, and then we just have to print star and space, and after that a new line, and we just have to repeat that thing while our number of star is greater than 0, and when we have our number of star equal to 0, then we will not print anything. So I can just directly use a while loop here. While our n is greater than 0, so I will put this loop here, and every time I also have to decrease n, so I can write it as here n minus minus. So let's run this. When our n is 4, you can see here first we are printing 4 stars, then 3, then 2, then 1, but this is a hack of our problem. We are not supposed to do it like this. We have to find a specific pattern here. This is a working solution and no one will question it, but we are here for logic building, and let's find our pattern. So here we just have to find a specific pattern for every row, and that will be, you can see here, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4, and number of stars are here 4, here 3, here 2, here 1. So you can see here, so we have to find a pattern here, and let us check this. Our number of star for every row will be, we can use here n, that is our input, that is a constant value, and after that minus I. You can see here n minus I, that will be 4 minus 1, so it is 3. So we have to print 3 star for first row. No, we have to print 4 star. So plus 1. So n minus I plus 1. That thing is working. Let us check it. Number of star equal to n minus I plus 1. So here value of n is constant. N is here 4. The only thing that is changing is our number of row, and here that is I. So number of stars will be n, that is input, minus number of row plus 1. So n is here 4, that is constant, and for our first row n minus 1 plus 1. So for our first row number of stars will be equal to 4, and this is correct. So let us check another thing. So for our row 3, our n is here 4, that is constant, and our row number is 3 plus 1. So 4 minus 3 is 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So we have to print 2 stars in our row 3, and this is correct. So we can say that this is a general formula to print number of stars for every row. And now let us implement this. Let me just get this thing out. So we have to print stars according to our n minus I, and that will be row plus 1. So I will write here outer loop for row from our first row to n rows, and every time a row increase. So now I think this is a complete program. Let us check this. So when n is 4, so this is a complete program. You can see this first row have 4 stars and second row have 3 stars, because our row is increased. So you can see here this value is increased. So when this value is increased, the limit to print stars will be decreased. So we will print just 3 stars, and when again row is increased, then we will just print 2 stars, and after that when row equals to n, we will just print 0 stars. Now when row is equal to n, we will print 1 star, and you can also see it here. When our n is 4, we are printing 1 star and then a space. So this was also a very beautiful pattern, and now let us move to our next question. So 4, and our next pattern is like this. We have 4 rows and we have to print something like this. For our first row we have to print 4 stars, for our second we have to print 3 stars, for third row only 2 stars, and for fourth row we are only printing 1 star. But this is the same problem. What is the difference here? Let us just copy that thing. I will just copy it for my question number 4. So I hope this is the same thing. When value of n is equal to 4, this is printing this pattern. First 4 stars, 3, 2 and 1. And here is the same, we have to print 4, 3, 2 and 1. But you can see the difference. We have to print like this. And here in this previous question, we are printing like this. So there is a difference and we have to find the pattern here. So how can we do this? You can see here, question is the same, but we just have to align the stars in the right side. You can see here, all the stars are aligned in the right side, but by default they are on the left side. So how can we do it here? Let me tell you the cool thing here. You can see here, we have to print a star and then a space, and then star and then space, star, space, star and then space. So we are printing 4 stars and 4 spaces. But here in this next line, we have to print space and then star and then space and then star, space, star, space. So this thing is common. This star and space are in combination. You can also see here star and space and here star and space. But now this thing is different. There are 2 more extra spaces for our second row. And after that, you can see here there is first, second, third and fourth. So there will be 4 more spaces, and then there is this pattern, this star and then space, then star and then space. And at the next row, we have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and then this star and space. So we also have to find a pattern here. And we know the formula to print stars. And let me just write it here. Number of star for every row will be equal to n minus row, that is row number, plus 1. So this is a general formula to print our stars. But we also have to print the spaces here. Here for second row, we are printing 2 spaces. And for our third row, we are printing 4 spaces. And for our fourth row, we are printing here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. And you can see the pattern here 2, 4, 6. And now we can also say for our first row, we are printing 0 extra spaces. So this is also very easy thing. We just have to generalize this thing. So let me write it here. For every row, we have to print some specific number of extra spaces. Number of extra spaces will be equal to, we have to find a pattern here now. So for row 1, we have to print 0 stars. Okay. So the pattern will be, let's try it. You can see this is row 1 and we are printing 0 spaces. So can we say number of spaces is less than number of row? No, it is not. You can see here. You can see here in our second row, number of row equal to number of spaces. And in our third row, you can see here, now we are printing 4 extra spaces. So we can find a pattern here. You can see there is a difference of 2 in printing our number of extra spaces. So every time our number of spaces are increased by 2. And you can see here our number of row is always increased by 1. So 1, 2. So this is the thing, when we are printing spaces differently, we are printing 1, 1 spaces. But we can just do it in pairs. So that will be very easy. So let me erase this. So you can see here there are 0 pair of spaces. So I will write here 0 and there is 1 pair of space. So 1 and here is 2 pairs, this and this. So here are 2 pairs and then there are 3 pairs, 1, 2 and 3. So now this thing is more clear. Let me erase this. And now I can say number of pair of spaces is equal to 1 minus number of row. So I can write it here. Number of pair of spaces is equal to our row number minus 1. So for our first row, we are printing 0 pair. And for our second row, we are printing 1 pair of spaces. And we have to do all this before our stars. So for every row, let me first erase this. So now I can say for every row, first I have to print some number of spaces and then our stars, so that my pattern will be like this. So first I will print row minus 1 times number of pair spaces. So first it will be 0 spaces here, and after that for our next line, row will be 2, and after that we have to print n minus row plus 1 stars. So this thing is equal to our previous question, and after that when our row is 2, we have to print row minus 1 times number of pair spaces. So here will be 2 spaces, and after that 3 stars. And when row is 3, we have to print 2 pair of spaces. So there will be total 4 spaces, and then these 2 stars. And at last when n is 4, we have to print 4 minus 1, that is 3 pairs. So there will be total of 6 spaces. And now let us just code that thing. Okay, this was our program to print our stars, but we also have to print our spaces. So before printing our stars, I have to run a loop to print our spaces. Int spaces equal to, I will start from printing 0 spaces, because for our first row we don't have to print any space, and our spaces should be less than equal to our row number minus 1, and then spaces will be increased. As out, we have to print 2 spaces. Here you can see this will be a pair. So now you can see this program is complete. For every row you can see here we are printing some number of spaces. That will be work of our for loop. And after printing our number of spaces, we are printing here stars, and after that here is the next line. So let's check it. So n is 4 and the pattern is like this. But here you can see there are 2 extra spaces for our 4th row. And where is the problem? Okay, we have to start spaces from 1. When n is 4, now the pattern is clear. Now this is our exact solution. The pattern is like this, as we are saying. And let me tell you why we are starting our spaces from 1. Because for every row we are printing row minus 1 time spaces. And for our first row, number of pair will be equal to 0. So that means we have to print 0 time our pair of spaces. And here when we are initializing our spaces to 0, that means spaces 0, spaces less than equal to row minus 1. So for our first row minus 1 will be 0. So this value is also 0 and row minus 1 is also 0. And that is why we were printing. So we have to initialize it with 1. And that is how our pattern will be clear. So n is 100. So this is our pattern. You can see here. This is our pattern here. At every row we have to first print spaces and stars, spaces and stars. And now I hope that thing is clear to you. So these are some very beautiful and cool questions of nested loops. You can try different things by yourself and create amazing patterns. These pattern questions are very important because they will build a great level of thinking and logic building and also pattern finding, so that you can find some specific patterns and create some general formulas in your questions. So go and try these things by yourself. Try using a while loop or just create patterns by yourself. And now it is time for practice problem. So today in task 14, you have to take integer input and then print the pattern number 5. And that is this. So when you have some integer n, you have to print something like this. So here you can see this is a very similar question we did today. For our row number 1, you have to print 1 star, then 2 star, then 3 and 4 and so on according to your n. And now you have to find a pattern how you can print spaces according to your input. First you have to print that number of spaces and then this and then this. So you have to find a pattern to print spaces, and then also you have to find a pattern to print your stars. So this is a very easy program. We learnt about all these concepts today and you just have to implement the same thing. And don't forget to share your code in the comment section, and the first one to comment the answer will get a huge shout out in the upcoming video. So that is it for today everyone. If this video is helpful, go hit the like button and also subscribe to our channel and share your views in the comment section, and I will see you in the next one.